What is going on, everyone? I'm coming to you live tonight, and we're gonna hang out and just do some general chat. Hopefully this is loud enough. Check test 1 2 test 1 2 test 1 2. That's strange. I think something got changed over here on my mic. It seems like it's a little quiet. There we go. Maybe. I'll just have to pull it a little closer. So anyway, we're doing some live stuff tonight, so come on in, hang out, and we'll just, we'll answer some questions. We can do some live list building. Actually, I'm going to start off with a list I've been kind of working on. So let's do that. I want to build an Armada list for you guys right now, and this is going to be a dual Star Destroyer list. I'm kind of working on this, so let's go ahead and switch over to it. Here we go. All right. So this is an Imperial Star Destroyer list. Basically, the idea of this list is I want to have 2 ISDs, and ISDs are always good. But I'm kind of torn because what I want, I'll put an ISD-2 up there, and I'll put a Kuat. I'm not sure. Simoons are great, but I really want the I want the defensive retrofit, because I want to, and I don't see a whole lot of people, at least in my area, doing this. But I saw it somewhere, and I was just like, I think that would work. I'll tell you exactly. There's no sound? Wait. Oh, no. Oh, there was somebody left me a comment asking why is there no sound in space. I believe it does travel, but we just don't have oxygen to pick it up. Our ears couldn't hear it if we were out in space, so I think it's one of those kind of things, because the sound waves, I believe they do travel, because that's how we're able to send radio signals to astronauts. But I'm not an astrophysicist, so I can't really answer those to the quality that you might deserve. All right, so the idea was, basically, I was watching one of my old battle reports with the 2 interdictors versus the 2 ISDs, and they were coming at me at such an angle that I could only see their fronts. And he had the 7th Fleet Star Destroyer on both of the ISDs. And so I wanted to put that on here. And after watching the battle report, and this was not long after Wave 7 just came out, that they were, he had forgotten to use his titles almost the whole game. And, it's basically, I was like, well, that's, that would have made a big difference, because I wouldn't have been able to whittle down those Star Destroyers, if... as easily if they could have stopped damage. And I'm like, well, how else could I stop damage? Well, early warning system and 7th Fleet both together would be great. These are the only 2 Star Destroyers that can do it right away. I mean, yes, I could do a Simoon and put 2 on there, but I also want other things like maybe Governor Price. I think Governor Price is more important if I'm going to put it on the Kuat. I want maybe the Kuat to be able to go, with the black dice, And I think I would want to maximize that front arc. Like it'd be all about the front arc. So we're looking at expanded launchers on the Kuat. For the ISD-2, I wouldn't really need that. I mean, I could just go 2 Kuats and not an ISD-2. But yeah. So let's see, for this guy, if I want to use Vader, I don't think I'll get as much out of Vader with only 2 ISDs. I don't have that many ships to do rerolls, so I think I'll do leading shots here, and then I can just go with somebody else. Thrawn would work if we wanted to do some squadrons. What's the squadron value on ISD-2? Is 4. So if we do a 4 and a Kuat, we could do 6 squadrons. But the Kuat's going to be up close. So let's just run this as an ISD-2 and an ISD Kuat for right now, and we'll see what happens. ISD-2 can stay farther away. We can run Spinal, and then we'll do the same thing, leading shots. And... this one, he could stay farther back, and we could give him gunnery team. That's not bad. And then this one could stay... Oh, I also want hardened bulkheads, so we can ram and stop other people from ramming us. And do we need anything here for the Kuat on his weapons team, right? So yeah, well, I'm just doing some Armada right now for some of you asking. Just doing a live list build. I can also do some. We can do some Legion list building, although there's not as much variation. It's hard to do X-Wing, or at least X-Wing 2.0 list building right now, since we don't have access to the list builder. So I don't think I need anything on the Kuat refit for weapons team. But that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. I don't know if I was originally building just a 2 Kuats. But, you know, that's 342. It doesn't leave us a whole lot of points. We could put some squadrons in here. We could just be the 2 ships. Do we have an officer for the ISD-2? We don't. Oh, Brunson. Definitely Brunson. But I kind of want Brunson on the one that's up front that's going to take most of the damage. So it's like kind of a tricky one. But, I mean, I could also drop Brunson and just put Strategic Advisor. Might work a little bit better for early game. But then again, if I got Governor Price, I don't know if I need Strategic Advisor. I'll put Brunson on there. Yeah. I think I'll go with Brunson. That'll help. In case I may end up, you know, 3. So Chris Safarik played 3 Simoon Star Destroyers. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, they're not going to have the defensive stuff, you know, to really stay alive. So I don't know. They might not be able to do it. But yeah, so here we go. All right. So what else do we want to add? We're going to add some squadrons. Let's try Agendan and Merrick Steel, which is a popular. The thing is, we do that, we're already almost full. So I don't want to do that. Let's go with regular TIE fighters. Gotta do Valen. Valen might be pretty good if we have to deal with some nasty TIE fighters. Let's put regular TIE fighters in there. How many could I fit? I could fit 6, which would work because I could activate 6 with both of these. 6 TIE fighters would work. It seems like, well, if I'm going to run that many, maybe I should have Sloane, but I don't think I want Sloane. So that's kind of a quick version of this. You know, I could swap this other one. I could make them both Kuats, free up a little bit more points. I wouldn't need 6 squadrons. I could get by with only 4 and upgrade them a little bit. But let's look at objectives. I think advanced gunnery is a really good one here because my Kuat doesn't have gunnery teams, so the Kuat can still shoot twice. That's, you know, an absolute death sentence. Let's go for defense. I think for, you know, defense is a tougher one here. I think I want more objectives out there for Brunson maybe, but fleet ambush would be interesting. It would force that would help with the deployment disadvantage, because I'm definitely going to have a deployment disadvantage. But I would let me get right up against somebody and blow them up, you know, potentially first turn or second turn. Kind of like that one. Not crazy about fire lanes. I think we'll go with fleet ambush. And then for navigation, I'm thinking dangerous territory. This will help us know where they're going to deploy, and also it lets me make better use of Brunson as well, since I can, you know, I know we're going to be flying on or near obstacles, and I don't have to worry about landing on them. I think they'll definitely choose dangerous territory, and I'm fine with that. Interesting stuff, though. Interesting stuff. So that was the you know, just messing around with a list. But yes, so we didn't get really any news today, right? So which was a little surprising to me. I was kind of I mean, I guess they showed some of the tournament results, because today was Friday, and you know, a lot of us were waiting for some kind of big reveal, and all they did was Rune Wars, you know, so that was surprising. Like, I'm getting tired of seeing Rune Wars stuff. You know, I tried it, and then I thought they pretty much killed Rune Wars by announcing Legion. Like, are any of you guys played Rune Wars? Have any of you guys played Rune Wars? Because, you know, I don't know. Zekrom Batman wants supper Star Destroyers. I'm guessing, is that like a Star Destroyer for dinner or for supper? No, I know you mean Super Star Destroyers, of course. Yeah, we actually posted a poll in the community section, and that one was pretty interesting, because that was all you know, pretty mixed results of like what you would want for Armada. We got you know, a pretty even split of people wanting a cheaper core set and new factions and super Star Destroyers. That was that one was pretty interesting. And I agree with you, Chris, there. I don't think we're going to see any Armada news until Gen Con. However, it's possible because Origins is coming up in like 2 weeks. So it's always a possibility they might you know, announce something for Origins. I don't think they will. I don't think they will. Unless the only way I think something like that would happen is if they had... maybe some other like big X-Wing stuff that they wanted to talk about at Gen Con. Like maybe the First Order and Resistance, maybe they're going to have some more stuff to talk about and showcase the new factions for X-Wing 2.0. And maybe they feel like they don't want to waste time with Armada at Gen Con, so they're just going to do the Armada stuff early. That's a possibility. Because for them to put the new Armada stuff out, I would feel like... I feel like they don't really care about Armada right now. And I know that that's baloney. So it's probably not the best way to say it. I feel like they don't, you know, they're undervaluing Armada a little bit. And a lot of that is because other things are more hot right now. Destiny's newer, although that was fading. Legion's brand new. X-Wing 2.0 is brand new. So those are the superstars right now. And so, you know, that's just the treatment, I feel like. And so... I mean, I hope that's not the case, but I'm like, do they really want to, you know, dedicate some time at Gen Con, which is like the biggest show of the year for, you know, for these new announcements? And do they really want to, how much time are they going to take up with Armada? Or is it going to be, if it's really something big, you know, I wouldn't, maybe there's a chance they do announce it early. Let's see, take a look at some of the questions here. We got any, are we talking X-Wing 2.0 or are we talking 2.0? I don't even understand what that question means. Although, to be honest, if we're just talking games 2.0 in general, I wouldn't, at this point, like, I'd be even okay with if they announced Armada 2.0. I know that would annoy a lot of people, and that would, you know, and I get it. But part of me is just like, you know, I just want something. I'm thirsty. Warwolf, do you think we'll ever get commanders that are vehicles like Garm Bel Iblis in the Gargantuan for Legion? That's interesting. Well, I guess we had, you kind of had something like that in Imperial Assault, where you had like General Weiss in the ATST. But then again, like the way that they did that, I think the closest you might get to something like that, is somebody being in a vehicle, is the pilot cards they have for Legion. And, you know, because they can tell, you've seen Wedge in a Snowspeeder, we've seen General Weiss in an ATST. It stands to reason they could maybe do a pilot card for Luke Skywalker. I don't know if they would want him to be the commander while he's in there. That would be interesting. Like, imagine like a pilot card that has, you know, I don't know. It's weird. I imagine if they ever did droids, like if you did the CIS, if they broke out into factions, you could see some type of sentient vehicle that's like a commander. But I don't know. That's interesting. Or Taro on the Dewback. Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Zekrom wants more unique squadrons that are not characters like Red or Blue Squadron. I'm okay with that. I'm not. You're talking about Armada and how they did the special unique squadrons. I'd be okay with that. I'm not really. I don't think we really need a whole lot of new squadrons. I'm okay with like a small squadron pack. If they're gonna do more squadrons, like I think a single pack that has a few squadrons for each side would be fine. Kind of like how the Rogues and Villains pack was. I wouldn't mind seeing something more like that. I don't really want to see a wave that's, you know, that a bulk of it is taken up with squadrons, just because I feel like squadrons are already diverse and we already have some that really aren't being used very much. So, but yes. How about an X-Wing in Legion? That would be interesting. I think that would be very, very cool. It'd be big, though, wouldn't it? It would have to be kind of big. The Snowspeeder is a small ship, a small craft, I suppose you'd say. And an X-Wing is actually a lot bigger than a Snowspeeder. So kind of figure like maybe double or triple the size of a snow speeder, because the wingspan would have to be pretty wide. I'm afraid an X-wing in Legion would be very expensive, you know. But I would love to see that, and I've thought about like how would they do stuff like that. Like I don't know if it should be, I don't know if starfighters in Legion should, if they come out, if they should be like flying around just like a snowspeeder, because I feel like that they're supposed to go too fast for that. So maybe maybe a, you know, something like they don't deploy, you know, at the beginning of the game. They come in like turn 2, and then they have to do 2 compulsory moves, and they're not allowed to turn around, right? Or maybe even give it a special movement tool where it only gets to move like 15 degrees. So, and it's supposed to fly off the board. So it comes on, and it's on the board for like 2 turns, and then it flies away. So you get like a strafing run, something like that. I think that would be kind of fun, and it wouldn't have to be that expensive either. If it's only on the game for like 1/3 of the time, then, or on the board, then you know you don't necessarily have to pay triple the points for something that's there for 1/3 of the time. But yeah, some people think they would be too big, and you know that's I'm glad it's not up to me, because as a person who loves big miniatures, I would be torn between wanting something so beautiful versus the feasibility of putting a miniature that's that big, in the game. So that would be interesting. But yeah, I think the closest you'll actually get to like starfighters is kind of like Leia and Veers' command cards, where they're calling for, like, Leia's calling for like an orbital strike, or Veers has the AT-AT that's off the battlefield shooting, or something like that. I think that's about as close as we'll get. So let's see. Bigatures. If they added an AT-AT, they can have a Y-wing that counters it, but the 2 compulsory moves. Yeah, I mean maybe. So Nerf Herder wants the Brahatok gunship really bad in an Armada. All you want is 2 red dice out the sides and cheap. So let's talk about that. I'm glad you brought this up. Let's talk about the Brahatok, because I have thought for a while. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pull up Ryan Kingston's Fleet Builder again, because it's easier to talk about certain side arcs and things while we are, while we're talking about it. Let's do this. Here we go. All right. So let's talk about this. Different ships. I have the wrong faction open here. Let's back up. Let's make a rebel fleet and ships. Okay. So your hammerheads already have the 2 red in the front. The problem with doing, the problem with doing a Brahatok that has 2 red out the side and weak, and cheap, it can't be cheaper than a hammerhead, because Akbar is going to make the Brahatok crazy. So that's the problem with that. But then look at the MC-30. You've already got a ship that's, and it would have to be somewhere around 60 something points, I think, to have 2 red out the side. Now, but then again, at that point, isn't the Brahatok going to fulfill the same role that the MC-30 fulfills? Well, maybe not. They could reduce its frontal firepower a little bit, and they could take the black dice down a little bit, because the MC-30s do have a lot of black dice. Both of them do, all the way around. So it's possible you could make it like a cheaper version of the MC-30, but then you make it too cheap, and then then you run into like, well, then I'll just never fly an MC-30 again, because I'd rather have 2 Brahatoks instead of 1 MC-30. So it'd have to be more than 40 points. So I mean, maybe you'd have something that's about 50 points, 55 possibly, but at a certain point, it's like it becomes very, very similar to an MC-30 at that point. So that's kind of one of the problems I have with it. So, and then what do you do with its front arc? Maybe you give it like 2 red dice all around, but then you, I think at a same point, if you do that, then the hammerhead's almost obsolete. maybe you have like only one die, but similar to the Architans. The Architans is pretty good, but either way, it's going to be very, very strong with with Admiral Akbar. So you couldn't give it weapons team because you don't want it to have gunnery teams and fire twice out the same side. That would be too much. So you can't give it whatever it is. It can't have weapons team if it's going to have a side arc like that. If you want it to have a weapons team, maybe it only has one red die in the side arc. That's a possibility. But I'm just thinking about the Brown Hawk. I don't know enough. The Brown Hawk was never meant to be like a heavily featured ship. It was kind of thrown in there. So and even when you've seen it on screen, you just see it flying. So we don't know. We haven't seen it do anything really, really cool canon that we can say, oh, well, that was a ship that it shot backwards and killed a Star Destroyer, so it should have all of its dice in the rear. Like that wouldn't. Who knows? One thing I was thinking that a Brahatok could have, or Dornian gunship could have, is maybe double ion cannon. And maybe it's not really a red dice ship. Maybe it's a blue and black dice ship, and it's double ion cannon. That's a possibility. We haven't seen. I don't think we've seen anything with double ion cannons yet. And now that we have better ion cannons, it might be a really good idea. So that's something I was thinking about, but I'm not sure. Let's see what you guys think. But yeah, so that was a little talk about the Brown Hawk. I have no idea, but I like to speculate. And I think if they do, like my honest guess, if I had to just guess what the next two ships for Armada would be, it would be Dornian gunship and a Venator for the Empire. And I think the Venator would be a broadside, similar to the Architans, but a medium ship, broadside heavy, kind of weaker front and rear. It's just my guess. Because I think that would fit with the Empire. They could use another broadside ship. They don't have Akbar, so giving them broadside ships becomes less dangerous. But then also the Rebels have the Assault Frigate Mark II, which is a really good broadside ship. All right, so let's look at some. I missed a couple of questions. All right, so let's see. Got you. Anti-squad. Yeah, you know what? And that's another thing. Nerf herder or Wordward. Yeah. Wordward brings up a good point there. A Dornian gunship could have really good anti-squadron dice. Because currently, right now, it seems like the Raider is the best anti-squadron ship in the game, or one of the best anti-squadron ships. The MC-75 is pretty good, but the Rebels don't have a good small ship that's that's a good counter for anti-squadrons. So maybe giving it a version that has 2 black dice would probably be nice. I could see that. Maybe. Or maybe 3 blue dice for anti-squadron. That might be too much. But I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever see a ship. Imagine a ship comes out that has 3 anti-squadron dice. That would be wild. I don't know. It might be a little bit too much. But if they're blue, then it might be not too bad. Depends. Blaze thinks the Venator should be large. Yeah, I mean, it might, it might work that way, but you kind of need, I mean, I don't know if you need, I would like to see more medium ships for balance purposes. So if it's kind of on that line, I would rather, I'd rather be that way. But I don't know, like the Gladiator, the Gladiator wasn't really a small ship, was it? But they put that on a small base. I don't know. Let's see, what else do we have? Let's see. We're looking at some more stuff here. Venator is bigger than the Vic, but it could still be on a medium base. What resources do I recommend to a new Armada player? You've only played 3 games and you just bought a collection. I would recommend Crabbok.com. Go to Armada Guides, and I've got a lot of stuff there. I've got how to play. I've got a lot of I have tutorials, guides, and things like that there. And just keep playing. I would definitely keep playing. Playing as much as you can. Play against different people. Don't play against the same person every single time if you can help it, because what will happen is you and somebody else could get a rule wrong, and and since you both did it, you just keep doing it. over and over again. And then you play for like a year, then you go to like a regional tournament one time, and then realize, oh, you mean I can't pre-measure with the maneuver tool before, during the end phase, and things like that. And so it can be embarrassing. So, heck, that happened to me. I was doing something wrong for a long time and realized that I was incorrect. Actually, I'll tell you a funny story. For a while, I didn't know, and it was a minor thing, but like when you table somebody, when you destroy their last ship, even their squadrons are on the board, I got into such a habit of everybody I know, as soon as that last ship was gone, we would shake hands and say good game. But technically, those squadrons are able to finish the turn. It's at the end of the round. So, like if if all my squadrons have rogue and you kill my last ship, well, my rogues might be able to take one of your ships out. So, it could end up, you're not necessarily, you still have to finish the round. So, and I got so used to not doing that, I think I just assumed that was the way. And that was maybe a year ago or so, but that was a while back, and I'd still been playing for a while and made mistakes. All right, what is that username? A Joe Coney Joe? Oh wait, no, somebody's talking to somebody else. That's not a question for me. All right. All right, so let's see. Do I think we'll ever get more flotillas? I think, yeah, I think there's a chance we might get some more flotillas. I don't think it'll be right away. I had thought for a while that they might have done something like with the Dornian gunship and made like flotillas of small ships, or maybe like I think if they do that, they're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel, though. I think we'll see more flotillas if they ever do other factions. It's a lot easier to do other factions, like the Resistance, for example, has those flotillas from those transports that were in The Last Jedi. They could use those, so you could do stuff like that, especially since they had like that cloaking device on them or something like that. So you could maybe give them a double scatter. And there's other small ships. There is the Listening ship, the other type of Gazanti that was in Star Wars Rebels that hasn't come out yet. That could be another type of flotilla. You might see, if they do more factions, or that might just be somebody's claim to fame, and like maybe the Empire ends up coming out with like 3 or 4 different flotillas to the Rebellion's 1, and maybe that becomes one of the flavors that the Empire just has. Because as it stands right now, there's not a whole lot more flotillas. There's another type of shuttle that was used a lot in Star Wars Rebels. The name of it escapes me right now, but it's a different, it's very similar to the GR-75 as far as the role that it would perform, but it's technically a different type of shuttle, so they could just make it similar and give it different stats. So there's things like that. But I don't think, I've kind of come around on this, I don't think they'll add small ship flotillas, so like make like a large flotilla of CR-90s or something like that. I don't think they'll do that, and I don't think they should. And the reason is, if you want to fly 3 CR-90s, just fly 3 CR-90s together. You don't need to have them all on one base, because that takes maneuvering out of the game, and that kind of dumbs down an important part of the game mechanics. So I would rather them not take existing ships and turn them into flotillas. I would rather keep the flotilla mechanic for those really, really small ships. And also I wouldn't mind seeing the Resistance bombers as a flotilla. Because they seem like they're a little bit too large, maybe a little too large to be a squadron. So I could see that. I could see them as being like 3 minis on a flotilla base. Something like that. I could potentially see that. Or anytime you have a ship like, or even, well, I guess it wouldn't work for unique ships. I would say Dr. Aphra's Archangel is kind of a really large, single ship, but at the same time, it's a unique ship, so you can't really make a flotilla out of a a single freighter, Let's see. What else do we have? I skipped a couple. I'm looking for some questions here. All right. What do I think about unique special forces units like Inferno Squad of Spectre Crew or in... so Warwolf was asking this, and I think you're talking about... I'm guessing you're talking about Legion, because we already have kind of unique special forces units in the other games, right? X-Wing has unique special forces units for like the TIE SF, for example, because you have named pilots. And Armada kind of has that with the unique squadrons. So, so with we've already seen that like Boba Fett, they have a new type coming out, and he's going to be an operative. So we know that operative is a new type, and I think that's a way to address, unique special forces. So if they wanted to do an Iden Versio, granted, all right, she would probably be a commander because she seems like a commander. But if they didn't want to make her into a commander, they could make her into an operative. So that's a cool, and basically the thing with operatives in Legion is that they do have command cards, but they can only issue commands to themselves. So that's pretty interesting. It makes me kind of think maybe they'll end up doing Luke Skywalker as an operative, Jedi Luke. Okay, here's what would be kind of cool. Do Jedi Luke as an operative, and here's why. From the canon, from the movie. When he was mid-level Jedi, like he is in his Bespin fatigue, his Bespin attire in Star Wars Legion. He did have a rank in the Rebellion. He was Commander Luke Skywalker, and stuff. And so he had a military rank, and he he had people under him. He led the attack on the snow on the walkers on Hoth, rogue leader. So he had a function. He had people under him. But then when he became Jedi Luke in Return of the Jedi, he was kind of off doing his own thing. He joined Han Solo's strike team to go to Endor, but then he just left and he went and engaged Vader. So that would be a good So the idea is like you're facing Vader with a whole bunch of stormtroopers in Legion, and he's coming. Well, maybe I want to send my little operative Luke to sneak behind the scenes. He's not worried about issuing orders to the troops on the field, but he is going to he is interested in going and seeking out Vader and distracting Vader from doing what he's supposed to do. The other cool thing about that is since you can only have 2 commanders, and we already know Han is coming out now, that would allow you to have Leia, Han, and Luke on the board at the same time. So I'm hoping for a Luke Skywalker operative as Jedi Luke at some point. I think that would be kind of cool. Do I think commanders will be allowed to give orders to operatives? Absolutely. Absolutely. I haven't seen anything that says that you can't. The thing is, the operative is going to have a type. And so the order, if it says any unit, then it says any unit. But if, like, for example, Veers is, plays his 2-pip, which is 2 vehicles, then he's not going to be able to give, in that case, an order to that operative because that usually, at least in the case of Boba Fett, he's a trooper subtype. So whatever kind of order you're giving would have to allow troopers. So if there were, in theory, an operative that was a vehicle, then it would be a little harder for some of the commander cards because some of them are troopers only. But generally I don't see. But yes, so if we just ask a guy, I am talking about Legion. We were asked some questions, but we're talking about anything. So you can ask questions about whatever game. It would be helpful if you mention your game which game you're asking, or if it's just a general question in your questions. So this way, it makes it so I don't have to guess, because I would hate to start answering a question on the context of a wrong game, and then you're like, no, I already knew that. I was asking about this. What would a vehicle operative be? Optimus Prime. In case, yes. So if Lucasfilm buys the Transformers and then licenses FFG to merge the universes, you could have, well, no, it wouldn't be Optimus Prime. He would be a commander. He would be so it'd be Bumblebee. Bumblebee would be a vehicle operative, and he would transform on but let's see. Is this going to be a video after I'm done streaming? Well, all of my streams do eventually become videos, so you can see them. But yes, it will be a video. It will happen. It takes like an hour or so, and then it'll be available. Let's see. Let's look at some other ones. looking. I missed a couple. I got to scroll up and down this chat list. There's a lot of comments in here. Thanks for all the comments, and thanks for coming to hang out with me, guys. All right, let's see. What about? All right, so I have a question here. What about detachable ships on the Home One? Detachable ships on the Home One. Are you talking about those little pods that come off? I really don't even know what that question means. I know. I mean, the MC-75 has a detachable ship. That's the Profundity title, so that much is good. Let's see. And Robert Hawkins wants them to add the Starhawk after it's designed, of course. I am totally on board with you. I definitely want to see the Starhawk, like, right away. I'm very anxious to see more about the Starhawk. And also I want to see the Eclipse, the new canon version of the Eclipse. I'm hoping they showcase it in Resistance. That's going to be exciting because the First Order has the Super Star Destroyer Eclipse, at least at their very founding, before they even maybe had the name the First Order. But that would be really cool. Nerf Herder. If when they did sequel trilogy, do you think they would make Star Fortresses a squadron with 1 per stand, or make a bomber flotilla of 2 or 3? I think you might have asked this before I talked about it, but I hope they would make them into a flotilla, but I wouldn't be surprised if they made them as an individual squadron. Would not be surprised, because I would like to see a flotilla. I feel like they should function as a flotilla. Slow-moving, front arc only flotilla. With maybe 0 anti-squadron dice. Or, no, maybe 1, because they do have the little gunner. They do have the gunner, yeah. But I don't know if they'll do that. All right. Do you think we will see solo characters in Legion? Rudy Viner asks, like Beckett and L3. Absolutely, I think we will. After seeing Solo, that if any of my games Solo spoke to, it's definitely Legion. There's a little bit of stuff in there for X-Wing. There was nothing in there for Armada. Well, maybe. It's like there was stuff in the background, but the thing that stinks about it is there was nothing in the book. But yeah, absolutely. There's a ton of stuff in there that could translate into Legion. The Mud Troopers is probably the most obvious, but those fur coat stormtroopers on the train, and they have a name too, and I don't have them in front of me, but they would look kind of cool. But one of the coolest thing would be that the cop on the motorcycle, that dude would be awesome in Legion. I would like to see that too. That would be fun. And I don't know if you'd see Enfys Nest's crew, and how would they be best represented? It makes me wonder. Well, will we see? That would be interesting. I don't want to. I can't really speculate further without giving away spoilers, so I don't want to do that. But yeah, it would be interesting. Enfys Nest's crew would be interesting. I mean, you have Crimson Dawn in the movie, so I guess if you wanted to potentially open up, crime syndicate factions, you could maybe do that. Although if they're going to open up other factions, I mean, let's go with Clone Wars. All right. Jude asks, for X-Wing 2.0, have they confirmed 2.0 specific upgrades not included in conversion kits? I know that there are some things that are not included in the conversion kit, like all the stuff that comes in the core set is not going to be in the conversion kits. So if you want to play 2nd edition, you must have a core set. In addition to changing the maneuver templates just slightly with extra markings, there's a new damage deck, and there's just new materials you're going to need from that. I do think you'll still be able to use your dice and stuff, but I don't know if you'll be able to use like the old asteroids. I have a feeling you probably won't. So you'll need all those materials that come in the core set. And they also confirmed that while they will be re-releasing expansions that they already have for 1.0, so let's take the E-Wing, for example. While it is in the conversion kit, and they will be releasing the E-Wing, they've basically said that when future expansions come out that match a 1.0 set, it'll be everything. You'll get stuff that's in the conversion kit, so you won't have to rebuy stuff that you're buying the conversion kit for. But they, at the same time, they're not going to just do those. They're going to stagger them, and they're going to offset. So while a wave might have an E-wing in it, it might also have some other brand new Rebel fighter. So maybe a V-wing or something. Well, they wouldn't have. I don't know if they'd have a V-wing for the Rebels. I think a V-wing would be Imperial. But anyway, so you catch my point. You'd have like an old and a new. And so maybe all the other players just go out and buy the new and they ignore the old. But a lot of the old ships, they are retooling some of them. So you may want to buy the new ships for the model or the paint job. Some things are going to get new moving parts. I really hope when they do the HWK, it has a bigger, like it's bigger. I hope the HWK is bigger. I hope they resculpted that one so it doesn't look so far out of context. Tristan is asking, does Armada have quality control issues that I have seen often, or did I just get super unlucky? I don't understand the context of unlucky right there. I mean, I think I did have a Star Destroyer break in, or one of the antennas broke off. But everybody, the Victory, those little antennas, a lot of those were broken. I don't think that's super unlucky. I don't really care about those antennas. But I'm guessing that's what you're talking about. But my Armada stuff has all been really, really good for the most part. All right, let's go by. Let's see. Could they add the Supremacy? I don't think so. I think that's much too big. As much as I think it'd be a stretch to add Super Star Destroyers and scale them down for Armada, the Supremacy is an order of magnitude above Super Star Destroyers. It's as big, it would have to be as big as compared to a Super Star Destroyer as a Super Star Destroyer is to, an ISD. Not exactly, but I think it's like 3 or 5 times the size of the Executor. And that's too much. I don't think they could do it. Not in Armada. If they did like a different kind of fleet-based game, then maybe like it would work in Rebellion. But Joshua asks for Armada. Do I think they'll ever make stations? I think that's a really cool idea. I would love to see stuff like that. But there is, I don't think they will actually do that. The reason being is they already have stations as, the cardboard stations. And they put a second one in the Corellian Conflict. I think that's something that makes more sense for them to do in a 2-dimensional. But I would love it if they made stations that were 3-dimensional and it was like, it offered a new method of play. Like a sentient station, like Deep Space Nine, like Attack Deep Space Nine. And this can be a 3-player cooperative, or semi-cooperative. Whoever gets the most hits on it actually wins at the end of the game, but it shoots back, things like that would be kind of fun. Let's see. From Solo, the Maw Squid creature for Epic Armada. I actually am not in favor of seeing creatures in Armada unless they're not controlled by a player. If they're controlled by dice and they're completely random and they're meant to be a random element in some kind of variant form of play, especially for multiplayer, like 3 or 5 player games, then that might be kind of fun. Pardon me. All right. All right. The E-Wing is now canon. Yeah, it was in one of the Poe books, I believe. The Poe comic books. Let's see. All right. The range troopers are the... Thank you for that. Yeah, the train guys were range troopers. I don't know what even that means. They weren't on a range, right? Like, were they cooks? Oh, they were cooks. Because sometimes you refer to a stove as a range. Get it? Ah, yeah. No, bad joke. I'm a dad. That's a dad joke right there. All right. Does the Imperial fighter for Armada have snipe? Does any Imperial fighter for Armada have snipe? Yes. That's going to be your unique TIE fighter that comes in the Corellian conflict, and I believe it's Saber Squadron. Let's see. I'm pulling it up right now. Squadron. It's come on. It is Saber Squadron. It has Snipe 4, which is actually really good. So while the Empire doesn't have a whole lot of snipe, they do have Saber Squadron. Let's see. All right, let's look for some more here. All right, so Tristan clarified directly above your quality control question where you talked about your Chimera not staying in the base properly. I might have missed that. I apologize. No, that seems unlikely to me. Everybody's ships that I have ever seen have stayed on their bases pretty well. I know some people who've handled them rough and actually broken part of the base off inside the ship. You know who you are. It's happened to me once too. But no, for the most part, I've never really seen a ship that just wouldn't go on. I did see that for the Decimators in X-Wing, though. The Decimators didn't want to stay on their pegs very well. What do you think about the idea of creatures in Legion, like a Rancor or Nexu? I think that's a cool idea. I don't know how you do it, though. Because... Here, I'm going to slump down a little bit. All right. So, I don't know how you do it. The reason being, it'd be kind of cool to have, Nexu on your side, like an Imperial Assault. But it's a little unrealistic, right? There's a lot of realism in Legion with the terrain and line of sight and things like that. Nexu's not just going to fight for you, right? So do you have to add something random? Do you have to add like an AI system? Or do you have to add creatures as like just a total variable that get thrown in? What if, how you have 3 cards, right? You have the objective, your deployment, and your condition. What if there was a 4th card and it was wild creatures, right? And you add that to the game, and there has to be one, and see, so it's one of those things you can eliminate. That might be fun. Like, oh, I don't want to go. I have to eliminate the Nexus, but that means, oh, the next one is Rancors. We have random Rancors on the board, and then you roll a creature die, and they just attack who's ever nearest to them, and like that would be really. I don't know, like that might be crazy. It might be a little too chaotic, but it'd be fun to have the option. On the other hand, if they don't do it that way and they just put them like standard, like creatures that you can control, then I don't know if you could do a Rancor unless you had a handler for him. And then what happens if the handler dies? Now, Rancor, pardon me, Rancor is the most obvious that I would like to have. But then I would think to myself, I'm like, well, it would be kind of hard. So what's more easier to do? Tauntauns and Dewbacks seem like the easiest ones to do because they have a rider, so you don't have to worry about the creature running wild. So I think if they do creatures, I think the safe bet is to do a Tauntaun and a Dewback. But beyond that, it might be fun to have some wild creatures too, maybe with a trainer. What is the coolest Legion terrain I have made or seen? It's a tough one. For made, I'm going to give you 2 answers for that. Probably my Wampa Cave, because it's very dynamic. It has a cave that you can go in. It's got a layer 1 side, and then it's got a layer 2 or a height 2 piece on top. So it's got it's got multiple different altitudes on it, and it also is blocking terrain on the sides. But for scene, it's definitely the stuff. Probably in the last batch I got for Imperial Terrain. If you haven't seen my terrain review for Imperial Terrain, check that out. That the landing platform, the landing pad is really, really cool. Really cool. It does make it hard to do battle reports because, especially if I get a second one and I have this giant, like 2 layers, like a camera's only going to see what's on top and not see what's below. All right. Let's see. All right. All right, let's see. I'm looking for some more stuff. What about a Nexu with a guy behind it with a really big whip? I wish they would do like Zeb and his light whip that he got in Season 4 of Rebels. I think that would be a lot of fun. I would like that. You found an image of a Moncal command cruiser with detachable ships. Yeah, I've never seen that. I don't want another Home 1 though. I don't want any more MC-80s at least in Armada. I definitely don't. And like we've got enough. Like the only other MC I want is like the Radis. Let's see. Well, if you've got an image, you can put it in, drop it in Discord. You know, if you guys don't, there's a link to it in the video here, but you should definitely drop it in Discord, and I'll check it out there. Let's see. Nope. All right, but that's always an option too. Have I ever completed a Corellian campaign, and did I like it? Almost. We did everything except for the final battle, because we found one person was cheating, and then it was drama after that, and then we didn't want to play anymore, and we never got back together. And a couple of people quit the game too. So, but it was fun. I think it's more fun if you're playing with people who are like really. We played with some people who were just maybe like lukewarm on Armada, so that we had to like push them to show up, and we had to be like, "Come on, dude!" You know, they didn't have stuff, and they'd show up, and they didn't have their stuff, and they really weren't into it. And so, you know, there was, you know, so it was kind of like herding cats. Sometimes this person wasn't available, that person wasn't available. So if you've got people that are like all gung ho for it and are dependable, it'll be a much better time. I think that's going to be it. Discord isn't a program; it's just a website. If you click on the link that I have for Discord, it'll just take you into it's like a chat room. But anyway, that's just an option for you. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. Who cheats in a fun, non-competitive game? Yeah, somebody with issues. But yeah, no, I don't know. I don't want to blast this dude on the internet, but he's a pretty scummy dude. But if you're in the Southeast and you go into a tournament for X-Wing or Armada, message me and I'll tell you who he is so you can watch out for him. But the link for my Discord doesn't work. Is that so? Let's see. Let's see if I can paste it. I'm going to Crabbok.com and my About Me. It was a slightly different. I need to change the link. How about this one? I'm going to paste one for you. How about that? Let me know if that works. I'm not gonna go for too much longer, so I'm gonna wind this down. What is the best Rebel fleet in Armada? I think right now, maybe a pretty heavy bomber like B-wings and bombers, and Radis is very strong right now. Dropping using a profundity with a good initiative bid to drop a black dice hammerhead pretty close is very strong. I think I might have a really solid winning Rebel build. Let's do it. I'm gonna build you guys a build I think might work. And this is how we'll end it. I'll do this last. Let me get it set up, because this is gonna annoy some people. All right, so let me try and remember, because I'm doing this on the fly. First thing is we want Akbar and assault frigates, and they need gunnery teams, and I'm not sure what else they need. We're gonna do 3 of those, and I need a Pelta. That is the key. I need a Pelta with Intensify Firepower. So he's going to run Intensify Firepower each turn and give these guys. Can we do this again? It's 416. That's too much. Boy, that would be all right. So in theory, if I did this without the Pelta, I could run 4 assault frigates with gunnery teams and Akbar, and then maybe even a couple more upgrades. That alone would be sick. But let's add some squadrons, because you need some squadrons. And I really think these guys would still be work really well today if I can find them. Lancers are going to work really well, and so are YT-2400s. Let's put some Lancers. Maybe we'll do a blend of both. 2 of each. Yeah. 2 Lancers, 2 YT-2400s. That's 399. We got 4 squadrons. We got 4 ships. We got Peltas. We got Akbar. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 dice coming over and over again. We got some dice mitigation from Intensify Firepower. That would be nuts. That would be nuts. How would they make the CIS and Clone Wars ships play differently? I mean, that's... Some of the ships are going to play the same. Some of them are. Like, your Architans is going to play the same. Your Venator, well, if they do one for the Empire, it'll probably be mostly the same. Let's see. Oh, we got... Whoops. What's going on? Oh, and I see that that home one with the detachable stuff. That's kind of cool. I don't know if that's canon right now or not, but that is kind of cool. All right. All right. So somebody asked for a Y-wing build. Well, I mean, I think squadron builds for Rebels are kind of standard. So one thing I know you're going to want is you don't need, but I think you're probably going to want a Yavaris. I think you're going to want one of these guys. We could go with 2 GR75s. This guy, Bomber Command, he's going to get a little closer. Give him Bright Hope. And boosted comms. And 8R Talon. I like 8R Talon on my Bomber Command Center. Oh, I went right past him. What, didn't I? There he is. Okay, wow. Weird. And then this guy will have Turin Far. She's helping the blue dice out a little bit. We don't need this one. We could drop that one. We got 1, 2. We could do an assault frigate, which would be strong. We could do an MC-75, which would also be strong. We could do Pelta, but I don't think you need a Pelta. We could go... Let's do an assault frigate. 3, you can activate 3. And we'll give you... what the heck? I don't even like Gallant Haven. Never have. We're at 215. We're only at 215 points. Wow. And we want... Sato would be good, but we'll go with Dodonna, because Dodonna's the man. Alright, let's add squadrons. Gold Squadron, really good for Y-Wings. Right? We want a couple more Y-Wings. You want Y-Wings. Let's give you 4 Y-Wings. And then we'll do some B-Wings. Regular B-Wings. Because they're super good, too. Now we need... How much points is that? 98? We need intel. Let's do 2 intel. And that is 122 points. We can add 12 more points. A-Wing. Green Squadron. There we go. Now that's a lot of stuff. I mean, this is I'm just putting this together real quick. We still have points left over, so we can There's all kinds of little things we could do here. We could give this guy ECM so he doesn't die. We could also give him flight controllers. Boosted comms, probably a really good idea right now. So now, how many squadrons can we activate here? We got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and we've got 4, 8. Well, we got a little extra, but once we get some tokens on there, we can activate everybody. So there you go. There's a quick little build. But yeah, I did this really quick. What I would probably do is drop a B-Wing and throw on Luke Skywalker. And how many am I? 128? I can't really do much else. C95? That's 135. That's 1.2 too much. For Adar Talon purposes, so Luke can go in there and you know, go through the shields, and he can punch through first. Kind of like that. All right. What do I think of the MC-75? I love it. I think it's one of the most well-balanced and multi-purpose ships out there. Can do a lot of stuff. Oh, so your word you were talking about getting those little pieces of the Mon Cal ship as a flotilla. That's possible. Do I find myself using ECMs more or the new early warning systems? The build I did at the beginning of this video was using early warning systems, but generally I find myself using ECM more. Although a lot of times I skip ECM. A lot of times I don't run defensive retrofit because I like a lot of glass cannons, basically. Like I'll run a lot of Architons lists and things like that. But ECM is so good. I usually recommend ECM to people. But yeah, all right. Well, I think that's gonna do it for tonight, guys. Thank you. I'm sorry we didn't get any Armada news, and I'm sure we'll get more Legion news. We'll probably start getting preview articles for Legion between now and Gen Con, since they've announced a couple of things. So that will probably happen. They may announce something at Origins, so that's coming up soon. So it's possible. Keep your fingers crossed. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.